searching, storing, sharing information. So GP, you got your inquiry screens, obviously for searching. Microsoft is adding some small feature functionality to help with those search screens. Obviously, most people are relying on smart lists, and then I mentioned the navigation list. With BC, again, if I go in and I do a search, and I search for vendors, you see here we have vendor list. So anywhere you see lists, that is truly a list versus, like a setup screen, right? So you can see the different lists here. And if I go ahead and click on a purchase order list, again, it's going to jump into it. And then you saw that functionality I have to be able to edit this list. As long as the field is available, you're able to add it to this grid and have it show on there for your users. GP Smart List, again, you can move columns around as well. You just can't do it in most of the other screens in GP, right? The lists can be, you can build filters into the BC list as well. But what you can't do is create custom lists. So Microsoft knows that's still a challenge with BC right today, because smart lists, everybody's used to be able to create all the smart lists they want, right? As long as they have the skills to do so, they can create all the smart lists they want, right? Today, that would still need to be a custom in BC. If I don't have a defined list, then it would either need to be created custom, or there are options out there through AppSource. And when I'm talking about AppSource, if you go out on AppSource, and you get in here and you start searching, you're going to want to make sure that, because there's a lot out there. Again, you got the Dynamics 365, Business Central apps, and then you got different categories. So right now there's 5,505 apps out there. Some of these are all part of a suite of products, and they just list them all separately to give them more presence. But because it's such a large volume of solutions that are out there, you really have to know who you're dealing with, just like anybody else. So definitely don't, even though some of these are free to try, if you actually have Business Central in production, you're not going to just download into the production environment. That's dangerous, right? Because you don't know who these people are. And of course, we are talking about your ERP system, but definitely lots of solutions out here. Again, some of these are free, truly good and free products. But there are a lot out there that you can free to try, or again, you have to know who they're in the space. Many of the companies that are in the AppSource came from Navision, and so basically they just ported their ISV solution over to Business Central. So as long as they are long-term, reputable companies, just like we do with GP, you don't want to buy something and find out that it doesn't work for you. So same thing, but there's lots of solutions, just like there is with GP, to be able to enhance BC in this case. So GP user defines, obviously, they're very limited without an add-on product for GP. Depending on what records you're looking at, you can kind of give it a label and then it shows up on screen, but they are limited without add-on products for GP. The same thing is essentially true with BC. You don't really have a lot of user-defined fields that you can just create on the fly. There are add-on products that basically make it really easy, really affordable, to be able to basically add potentially new screens, as well as new fields, and potentially even put some logic behind those. So that would be typically an ISV solution or a customization. Again, if you only need one field, it might be just a quick, simple customization that we could do, versus buying an add-on product. But again, some of those products are very affordable and have been around for a long time. Business Central document attachments. So I'll show you how it works, standard BC, but there is a free add-on from one of the reputable companies out there that allows you to literally just drag and drop a lot easier than having to navigate / drill in, right? So if I'm here on my purchase orders, right, you can see here attachments, I don't have any. I can go over here. Not necessarily always intuitive, but you're not clicking on the word documents. That's just going to give you Ask Copilot about that. But if you click on the numbers, just like when I was drilling into the balance, right, then here I open up the attached documents. Now, if I were to click attach files here, this is where I can drag a file right up and drop it in there. And so it's automatically going to load that. Now I've got the ability to view that file, right? It's going to download it, and I can open it up to the modules for BC. Again, this is kind of the list of all the different things you get with BC, right? So that was a short version. Here is a full list if you want it, with all the different capabilities within each of the modules, right? So pretty easy. You can have as many attachments as you want. And then you can see here, flow to purchase transactions. So do you want that this particular attachment to automatically flow to a purchase transaction when you create one, right? You've got the ability to new ones, or edit the list if I want to get rid of it. And simple, you always see these dots. That's really what that's opening up, is again another screen below that. So Microsoft does leverage OneDrive to have access to OneDrive. So if you have things in OneDrive, you can save links here and it'll open from OneDrive. So again, they're really working to make it seamlessly integrating with the rest of the Microsoft stack. Right, so I think that's nice. You see those throughout, those doc attachments. So whether it's a master record, a transaction, you're able to add those additional documents. And like I said, there is a free add-on, so that way I don't even drill in. I just really take it and drag it right on the transaction, and it's going to add it to that screen. The ability to personalize, we talked about that. Sharing info. So I think this is where some of this is what really sets Business Central apart when it comes to the ability to do certain things. So I'm going to go back, and I guess I'll use my regular navigation here and go to my vendors, right? And so I'm in the vendor list, and if I go to this button over here, right, I can open an Excel. That's just like a smart list, right? You can add filters into these screens as well. So you definitely have here, like here's all but blocked vendors. Again, you can build filters. So you can build as many filters as you want on these different things. You can sort any of these columns. But we're talking about Power, obviously I can share this with Teams if you use Microsoft Teams to basically send it to a Teams channel. You had certain information that you wanted to share. And then you've got edit in Excel. And this is really the powerful one, right? It's not just edit in Excel. It's also potentially open, please. Thank you. All right, so it's reopening. So what it's doing right now is it's authenticating, getting that data directly out of Business Central. So you can see it's doing that through here. And then if I were to go over here and say contract for ABC, and I want to publish that, it's literally writing back to Business Central. So if I go back to my DC list here, and I would refresh this list, right? Subcontractor ABC. So nice, I can edit it, but I can also do more than that. I can also enter new ones. So it will do some validations. It will populate some fields that I don't have to populate, right? But you can see the fields across here in the list, right? And I can populate those when I publish. And I come back. Here's Cal. It's created that vendor inside of Business Central. Again, you kind of really need to make sure that you have all the information completed and such. But again, very powerful, especially if doing certain things to be able to edit in Excel. And you'll see that on certain transaction lines as well, where you can edit in Excel. So definitely, I think that's one of the things that Microsoft has done really well with PC. So again, if I need to load a bunch of new items, edit in Excel. Web services, they can be exposed, so you can pull the data out of Business Central into Excel. You're basically leveraging the power of Excel you know, that's still, I think Microsoft is still building out Excel lists for BC, because again, they know that GP users love smart lists. They have that ability to create them. They have the ability to create SQL views, custom SQL views. And so being able to create additional enhanced reporting out of BC is definitely on the roadmap. And if you were to go out on Microsoft site, you can definitely see what is scheduled, what's coming, when they're going to be released. It's all out there. So you're not having to wait to find out. They really do have a good roadmap out there. So here we're talking about personalizing, it's adding fields, adding save filters. So if you use that filter button, you're able to really start honing in on things here. So here is where it opens up the filters, and then you can have a whole list of filters, which is similar again to smart lists and the save smart lists that have filters, right? This is very similar to that. So you can kind of use it in the same way. Again, the share button, open in Excel, edit in Excel, share to Teams, and the copy link. Copy link is where you're basically copying a link literally for that information, and you can share it with somebody, and as long as they have access to BC as well, then they can jump right into it. Again, it's just a URL. It validates during the publish back, so if you trying to put in a payables transaction and you're not allowing duplicate document numbers, and it should fail on you, right? Because we don't want to push that in. Again, web services, I'm not going to get into that too much, but they can be exposed to OData and open in Excel. So here's an example of that OData feed.